Welcome back to episode 5 of my Squaredrop trailer build. It's taken me a while to get this one out because I got married in between working on this. So right here I'm getting the rest of the installation put in onto the floor before I put the actual 1/4-inch flooring on top of this. It's been a lot of weeks in the making of this. I had a lot of stuff I had to do for the wedding beforehand, so I apologize for getting this content out later than I expected. So here I'm getting the floor lined up. Not perfect because I can go around with the router afterwards and trim off all the excess, but making lines, trying to get screws in to good places as well as I can. And I did not use glue in case I need to remove this for any reason. I don't anticipate needing to do that, but in case I want to run cables through the floor in the future or something like that, I decided not to use glue. But I did use a lot of screws and on the cross members as well. In this video, we will complete the floor, and then we will get the fender steel supports welded on to the frame. And you can see here my little bit came off of my countersinking bit, and that happened actually 2 or 3 times during the course of this. It was lovely. We'll get the fender supports welded on by my neighbor who came across and helped me in the rain. And then after that, we will make the template for the walls. And the reason I'm using a template is because I'll be doing a sandwich style wall with 1/4-inch on the outside and the inside plywood, sandwiched with a 3/4-inch thick birch plywood in the middle for really rigid support, and that'll have holes in it for insulation and all that stuff. So and then I actually, once we finish the template towards the end of this video, then I start actually cutting out the first of the 2 3/4-inch plywood sandwiched walls. So you can see, I'm just screwing in all the cross members, and I'll let you enjoy the music until we get to the next part. Now that it's all screwed in, I take the router and I went along the entire perimeter of the floor. So here's kind of a close-up. You can see the sides are perfectly in line with the others, and it is a nice solid, there's nice solid corners, and the walls will sit on top of here. Part of the sandwich will. The 3/4-inch and 1/4-inch inside will be on top. The 1/4-inch outside will go along the edges and rest actually on the frame, just so water doesn't seep in through the wall. So here's my neighbor welding. You can see there's poles there. There's an easy up. It's very windy and it's about to start raining. We tried to get this done as quickly as possible. You might notice that the bar there is pretty close to the tire. That is because I originally wanted bigger tires on this trailer. However, I've come to realize that the trailer is just going to be too tall. The galley in the back, the counter that you will prepare food on, it is just going to be way too high up to be comfortable to cut on. So I went ahead. Oh, no, you could see there that the camera fell over because it was so windy. But anyway, I actually just ordered the two new tires, and I actually had to get a new brake set because the brakes I got were 6 on 5.5, and the new tires I'm getting, because the 6 on 5.5 doesn't really have too many smaller tires, it's mostly bigger ones. So I had to get new brakes. So I'll do a video on removing and then replacing the brakes as well. So anyway, my neighbor, he was kind enough to come over and get this started for me. He does welding for work, so I was very happy that he was able to come and do this for me. So that was just before I got married, and now I'm married. So now we're off to the next set of work that I'll be doing, and this will be me creating the template and then working on one of the first walls. And I had my buddy Carlo and his 2 kids came over to check it out and help with a bunch of stuff, so you'll see them later on in the video. But I figured I'd give a real-time little glimpse of me taking the trailer out, because my workbench is 4 feet wide, just over 4 feet wide, and this trailer with the tires is just over 6 feet wide, so I don't really have any other room in the garage, which is why I'm working on it in the outside. So this was a spare piece that came with it that everything was sitting on, and I realized, oh, that side's really dirty, so I can't really draw on that. So I decided to flip it over, put it on the workbench, and now I will begin my drawing. So this is what it's going to look like. I actually changed the angle, that top left angle, which is the rear galley hatch. I changed that angle to be a lot less steep because it's not really necessary. And plus it gives more room for that shelf to hold stuff and to put stuff on the inside of the door. When you open it up, I'll have some stuff that comes down for extra storage, just so I have a lot of room in there to put whatever kitchen and stuff like that that I need. Any kitchen items, I should say. So here I am measuring lines for the top of the roof, because this is these pieces of plywood that I'm using are all 5 foot by 10 foot. I managed to source those out here in the Bay Area where I live. And I'm cutting off 6 inches off the top of this one because I don't need 5 foot tall. It's a little bit much. And I'll also be cutting the other ones. This would be a template for technically the outside wall. It's for all of them, but for the outside wall. So the inside wall and the sandwiched part, the 3/4 inch plywood, and the 1/4 inch inside wall will be 2 inches, almost 2 inches shorter than this, because they'll be resting on the floor. So overall, it'll be just about 4 feet, 4.5 inches inside of the main area in the galley. So here I'm drawing out the door. I'm building my own doors. All the ones that I saw were ridiculously expensive, and I bought windows for mine, so I'll be able to make these doors, and they'll be heavily insulated, so they're not going to be like super heavy doors. I'm not even going to use 3/4 inch of the plywood for blocking on them. I'm just going to use 3/4 inch wood strips, basically, that are about 2 inches wide, and then fill it with insulation and the windows on each of the doors. But I also wanted them oversized doors. You can tell I'm a big guy, and most of those doors are pretty small. so I'll be building my own. I used my little the piece of metal there is for my miter saw station, and it's heavy duty metal and completely straight, so I decided to use that as a guide for my circular saw to be able to cut that corner off. So that'll be the front corner, and it's mostly just for the wind. I may end up putting one of my solar panels on it, but I also don't want it to get damaged, so I may not. But it's definitely going to help with wind resistance for sure, just so it's not a big square. You know, it is a Squaredrop technically, but I don't want the wind to really just kill my MPG that I already have, that I already get pretty low of anyway. So now I'm cutting off that top. Remember that 6 inches I was talking about earlier? So that'll be where the galley sits on. The door will be hinged just at that point there, right before it starts to slope. It'll be back a little bit. And the galley door will cover that whole diagonal section at the back and the squared off rear. And it will open up and basically sit on that diagonal cut. So here I'm drawing out more lines for insulation. And I did insulation on this side too, but then I realized that I'm going to have that shelf there, and so I'm making some blocking that I will not be cutting off for insulation, so that the shelf has things to screw to from the inside. So I'm also leaving room at the bottom and above it for the hinges for the door as well. So here I'm making large squares, well, rectangles, for more insulation, so that everything's lighter and it's really insulated. But I'm leaving enough there to where it'll still be sturdy and strong on the inside with the 3/4 inch plywood. So here I'm actually cutting out the door square that I've made. And unfortunately, I really just could not get great lines on these. Some are much better than others, but this first line was just absolutely atrocious. So later on in the video, you'll see that gets sanded, and it's still not perfect, but this is the template, and I can make it perfect without needing the template to be exact. The main purpose of this template is also so that when I'm screwing things into the walls, I can really see where there's blocking, and I'm not just like screwing into insulation from the inside to put, like coat hangers and stuff like that. I want to make sure that I know exactly where it is, so I could literally look at the template, measure, and say, okay, an inch from the door, there's still, on this side, there's still, 3/4 inch plywood behind it, so I can put one there. And also, if I decide to make another one in the future, I can use this template and really knock it out a lot faster. I needed something to support that end to get it off my workbench so that I could continue to use the jigsaw to make these holes, so I moved my workbench over. It was actually like the perfect size. It was a little lower, but I was able to use that to support it. So now's about the time that those kids came over, and they helped me out a lot, actually. And their dad wanted them to get some building time in and learn how to use certain tools. So the thing that every woodworker hates is sanding. So that's what I had them start with. You can see here I'm trying to make that line a little better so that when they're sanding it, it actually can be relatively straight. So at this point, I had them help me put the 5x10 3/4 inch plywood piece on top of my template, so I could use my bottom bearing router bit to make everything good. The issue I actually had towards the end was that my jigsaw, when I was cutting the hole for the door, it is not meant for hardwood plywood. I mean, I got good blades, but they kept bending while I was cutting, and I didn't know. So it's pretty unfortunate, but in the future, I'm just going to use my circular saw. I'll basically lay the template on top of the other pieces and draw out where I need to cut, and then cut that way. Except for the very outsides. The outsides, I want them to be exact so that everything is square. So I will line them up and use the router like I'm using that now on this piece. But as far as the inside stuff, the insulation blocks, the blocks of insulation I'm going to use, the holes that I need to put in there, all that stuff, it's all going to be with like a circular saw and a jigsaw. Just the jigsaw just to get the corners, but the circular saw to get as straight of lines as I can. And the reason I have these clamps in between is because it's hanging off my bench and the template underneath was kind of sagging, so I was moving the clamps over it so that I can make sure that it's lined up for the bottom bearing on the router bit. And you know what people hate even probably as much as, if not more than sanding, is cleaning up. So we put these boys to work and had them use my dust collector to pick up all the lovely router shavings and jigsaw, stuff like that. So, and here's us cutting out the door. I got relatively close with the jigsaw there, and then I come back again later with the router to route out to make it as close to the template as possible. But as I said, in the future, I'm not going to be using the router. It kept burning out because the plywood's just too thick. So on the next video, I will hopefully have the tires and the new brakes installed, but I might do one before that because the brakes are going to take a little while to get here. But I still need to put in the cross member for my axle-less suspension, which I have. So that'll go in the next video. Hopefully putting on the fenders as well, and hopefully getting another wall or two cut out and good to go. So once the walls are done, it's going to be a lot quicker to get things done. They're a big pain. So that should do it for this video. Go ahead and like and subscribe and say thanks to these kids for cleaning up all the mess we made. I'll see you guys in the next one.